you can count on. This is WNEM-TV5 News at 5:30.
You're taking a live look over Mount Pleasant, where people are reacting to the tragic outcome in the search for a local man. Thanks for joining us at 5:30. I'm David Custer. 35-year-old Joshua Van Horn went missing 2 nights ago while tubing on the Chippewa River with his girlfriend. This morning, his body was discovered in that very river. Our James Felton has more on this tragedy.
You never like to see anybody die. It's very tragic, such a young man as well.
The search for Joshua Van Horn, missing since Tuesday night, came to a sad end this morning. Police found the 35-year-old's body in the Chippewa River at Island Park in Mount Pleasant, just about 2 days after he disappeared. He had been tubing with his girlfriend Tuesday night when police say he decided to ditch the tube and swim downstream. Van Horn was supposed to meet up with his girlfriend, but he never showed up. Jeff Brown is one of the first responders who found Van Horn's body.
He was just immersed underwater about 18 inches, and we were just fortunate to get him out. Unfortunately, I don't know how long he had been there. As I said, the water receded about 18 inches, and maybe the visibility clearing up is the reason that we saw him.
Meanwhile, people who use the river say there are hidden dangers just below the surface.
There's so many rocks that are hidden under the water that you can't even see, or logs that you're going to get caught on, and you just never know what's going to happen.
Kelly Schinnebarger spends a lot of time near the river, telling us this tragedy hits close to home.
We work down here Monday through Friday every day, and we're always by the river, and it's just like watching it. It looks so nice, and now that happens, it's kind of a little bit scary.
Authorities say there are no signs of foul play. However, Van Horn's death is still under investigation. As for Brown, he says he's glad he could, at the very least, give Van Horn's grieving family a little closure.
It's very unfortunate, the circumstances, but to bring him home to his family, to me, it was the ultimate goal.
Reporting in Mount Pleasant, James Felton, WNEM-TV5.
Police are warning residents the river is unsafe with the current water levels, and they urge folks to stay away until those levels drop.
And to say our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families and their community doesn't say enough to convey the heartache and the sadness and the anger that we feel.
A nation in mourning tonight after a gunman shot and killed 9 people inside a Charleston, South Carolina church last night. Tonight, the latest on the capture of the 21-year-old suspect, Dylan Roth, and more into the investigation of what some are calling a horrific hate crime. Marley Hall reports.
The manhunt for 21-year-old Dylan Roth ended in Shelby, North Carolina this morning when police pulled over his dark-colored sedan. Roth is accused of killing 9 people during a prayer service inside a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. A tip led police to the traffic stop and arrest.
He was cooperative with the officer who stopped him. We don't have any reason to believe there was anybody else involved.
Police say surveillance images show Roth entering the Emmanuel AME church last night. He apparently sat in on a prayer meeting for about an hour, then opened fire. Among the dead, South Carolina State Senator and the church's pastor, Clementa Pinckney.
And give you peace, and give you peace.
Today, Governor Nikki Haley joined the congregation for a prayer vigil.
And so we have some grieving too. And we've got some pain we have to go through.
The Emmanuel Church is one of the oldest historically black churches in the country, with deep roots in the civil rights movement. President Obama says he knew Pastor Pinckney and expressed anger that he died in a type of mass violence not seen in other advanced countries.
Once again, innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun.
The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Marley Hall, CBS News, Charleston, South Carolina.
So far, police are not revealing any possible motive. We'll have continuing coverage on the Charleston massacre coming up tonight at 6. But first, we want to hear from you. The president is now calling for tighter restrictions on guns. How has this latest shooting affected your views on gun control? Head to the TV5 Facebook page to share your thoughts. Well, live look now over Saginaw, where it was a pretty gray start to the day, and you may see some of those rain clouds hang around well into the evening. Meteorologist Claire Cameron has a better look at your forecast. Claire.
Thanks, David. We do have a couple of storms in the area that we need to talk about. There was a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Port Huron County. If we look at our First Warn 5 pinpoint Doppler radar at NBS Live in 3D, we know that has been canceled, so there is no longer a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Huron County. There is still a couple of thunderstorms around that area, though, near Caseville and Port Austin. You could see some stronger areas of some rain and as well as some gusty winds over there as well. So do be aware there are still some stronger thunderstorms over in that area. Just off to our west, you can see near Sterling and Standish, we are going to see a couple more start to filter into the area as we head into the overnight hours, into the later evening hours as well. So just do be aware of that. And in Harrison, Lake George, near Houghton Lake, we're still seeing a couple near Harrison around that area as well. So just do be aware that we do have some thunderstorms and some thunderstorms making their way across the area. But in the next 5 hours, once the sun sets, we should start to see those diminish just a little bit, but the rain will hang around into the overnight hours. I'll have all the details in your First Warn 5 forecast coming up.
But my plan is actually going to do something that no other president has been able to do in the past 30 years.
North Carolina Democratic presidential candidate Robbie Wells made his rounds in Flint today to discuss his plan to bring millions of manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. He says the first order of business is putting a stop to special interest groups.
They want to keep their operations overseas because they're making a lot of money. Selling out you, selling out me, and selling out the American people. Obviously, they've sold out Flint and they've sold out Detroit.
At 6 tonight, Wells is scheduled to speak during a town hall meeting at the Secondhand Church in Flint.
It's priceless. You can't put a price tag on this kind of hard work.
A local Marine veteran is filled with joy tonight after 2 companies came together to build him a new home fit for a hero. TV5's Ronnie Duncan has this emotional story.
That noise was pleasant to the ears of more than 20 volunteers as they ripped apart and gutted the inside of his home. The home of 38-year-old Marine and Flint native George Grundy Jr.
I'm humbled. When I think about the entire process, I'm humbled.
Grundy's home was chosen as part of General Motors' $1 million donation to Habitat for Humanity.
You're hard handling, but you ready to do some hard work?
I've already been doing that. I'm waiting to get back up there.
Tom Wickham of General Motors is proud of his company's foundation's role in helping to fund this project, which includes building 11 new homes.
One of those 11 projects is here in Flint. We're doing a renovation, what we call a work lift project, for a homeowner who is a veteran of the military.
In conjunction with Military Appreciation Month, GM and Habitat for Humanity's timing couldn't have been better. And for Leslie Voiles of Habitat for Humanity, the love and commitment from the volunteers is worth more than the $90,000 that will aid George Grundy Jr. in his dreams.
Is priceless. You can't put a price tag on this kind of hard work.
To me, that's huge. To have 2 multinational corporations invest in me and believe in me enough to say, hey, we want to see you succeed in a place where people don't really see success very often in these days and times. I'm very humbled by that, and I'm appreciative, and I thank God for it.
So I guess we can say it is out with the old and in with the new, and George Grundy was right. Imagine Flint being better. And once you start to imagine, that imagination becomes a reality. In Flint, Ronnie Duncan, WNEM-TV5.
That is great to see. Well, imagine working the same job for the same company, but getting a different wage, all because of your age. Well, that could very well be a reality for millions of young adults if some state lawmakers have their way. We'll tell you what they're proposing tonight at 6. And travelers can breathe a sigh of relief. Airplane authorities are allowing you to keep something very precious on your next flight. And skeptics are putting the pedal to the metal to see if you're really getting all those miles to the gallon that your car promises. We have the results still ahead. But first, the oldest person in the world has died. We'll remember Michigan's very own Geraldine Talley